Aloha everyone, welcome. It's so wonderful to practice with you. Today's class theme is spine like water. I just want to let that speak for itself for a moment. We'll be waking up a lot more sensitivity in the spine, and that's going to allow us to be really adaptable and fluid. It should feel amazing, but also be very subtly strengthening. So with that, we'll begin. Aloha, Laura, welcome. Can you please zoom out? So we'll start right away with the 3 blankets. We'll be using them throughout all of class, so take your time, grab them if you need to. No need to rush. And I'll talk you through setting it up because it matters. There's some nuance here. Maybe could you zoom in a little on the bolster? Thanks to our wonderful videographer here, Satyam. So the first one, so they're all folded long ways. So the way that we don't usually fold it. And then the first one will go down just like normal, long ways. And then the second one will go on top of it, but staggered so that the part closer to you is covered by the second blanket. And this is going to make a really nice slope that's going to support our lumbar spine. And then the third one is going to go on top further away to support the head. And I should have told you this right away. It's going to be off to your left hand side. Okay. Everybody looks good. And the most important thing is that it's comfortable. And so if you're not sure if you did it right, you did it right if it feels really good when you're on it. So with that, turn to your right, snug up towards the second blanket, the one that's curved over the first. Bend the knees, place the soles of the feet to the earth, and then gently start to recline. And the curve of the blanket should support the natural curve of the low back. And then the third blanket should make it really easy to lengthen through the back of the neck. So it's almost creating a chin tuck. Take your time setting it up. And then once you are reclined, wiggle around a little bit so you can feel your spine being supported by the blanket. Make sure the low back feels honestly almost like nothing. I always joke that a really good restorative pose feels like you're doing nothing. You're just completely suspended. So if it's too deep of a back bend, you can slide forward a little bit so the slope is a little more gradual. Adjust where the pillow-like blanket is underneath the head. And then bring a soft bend to the elbows so the forearms are supported by the earth and there's no pressure in the shoulder socket as the humerus, the arm bone hangs down. If it feels comfortable, close the eyes and start to tune into your breath. We have a tendency to breathe more into the front of the body. And so without judgment, notice if there's a lot more sensation in the front of the chest, the front of the rib cage. And then what's really interesting about having the blanket here is you can feel how breathing into the front of the body exaggerates the arch of the low back. You might feel a little sense of extension in the spine, so coming into a deeper back bend really, really subtly. And this is actually not our goal. So now start to bring more awareness to the back body, the back of the heart, the bottom ribs, the lumbar spine all the way down to the sacrum, the base of the sacrum resting on the mat. And now as you start to breathe, imagine the breath like a wave traveling down the spine from top to bottom. And try to feel that wave gently pressing into the blanket, into your support system. And we'll take several breaths here, using the breath to bring more consciousness to the back body. When you know you're doing it right, if the in-breath does not create a back bend, an increased back bend, there's a little one as you're on the blanket. It's almost like the inhale helps neutralize the spine. And then keeping this awareness alive, bring the hands to the belly and start to feel how even though you're breathing into the back body, the belly still rises and falls. See if you can observe both of those realities, and it kind of forces you to zoom out and feel the wholeness of your body. And breathing into the belly like this is really soothing, and it'll often occur in our passive and restorative poses. And slide the hands up to the bottom of the rib cage. Keep a little engagement in the center of the body. And so as you breathe, let the rib cage expand to the left and right. And so it will feel like the belly is slightly restricted. And you don't want there to be tension, but notice that it takes a little more gentle effort to breathe into the ribs. And if you need a little help getting the ribs to expand, as you exhale, feel how the navel naturally draws in. Keep that on your next inhale, and you should feel the rib cage blossom open. And again, you don't want any strain. So though there's, I don't even want to say constriction, because we can do that with too much doership. There's a gentle tone. It's nice having yoga teachers in the room with you. There's a gentle tone around the navel that allows the awareness to fill the rib cage more. And as you breathe here, bring your awareness to the back of the rib cage, especially the bottom rib. So just like the previous exercise, this isn't about filling the front of the body. Try to feel how this gentle constriction allows you to expand the rib cage in all directions. And literally feel how the inhale helps you press the bottom rib into your support, into the blanket. And then relax the breath, just breathe normal. And two options with the arms: you can float the palms up and rest the forearms on the earth, or you can bring the fingertips behind the ears and allow the elbows to softly open, getting a little more expansion through the chest. Just make sure this is comfortable for the chest and for the space around the shoulders. And now magically with your other set of hands, you can hit play on the first track and make sure it's set to loop, so to repeat until I tell you to go to the second track. And we'll begin to move. And so keeping the spine connected to the bolster actually takes work, right? It's a gentle work, but notice how that action feels like a brightening through the deep front line, aka the deep core. And then keeping that contact, play with exhaling and hovering the right foot just a centimeter above the yoga mat. And inhale, set the foot down. Exhale, hover the other foot. And start to play with this on your own. And the hardest part is keeping the spine connected to the bolster. As the spine connects, you might feel a little lateral shifting left and right as one foot lifts. Play with minimizing that. That is going to increase the deep core strength. And if at any time this arm positioning isn't comfortable, just release it to whatever is comfortable for you. And as you play with these little marches, you really don't want to feel your hip flexors engaging. It should feel like it's coming from a deeper place. And then place both feet down and exhale. Play with lifting both feet simultaneously. And you do not want this to increase your back bend. So if you feel that arching and tightening at the low back, just go back to one foot at a time. That's totally fine. And then let's set both feet down. Gently press into the feet. Lengthen the tailbone forward. So as you lengthen the tailbone forward, you'll feel the low back connect even more with the blanket. And then very slowly start to lift one vertebra at a time away from the blanket, moving towards a bridge-like pose. And notice as one vertebra lifts, how you can feel the next one a little bit extra because it presses a little more into the bolster. And then reverse that. It's okay if you didn't make it all the way up. We're going to do this for a little while. Gently start to drape one vertebra at a time back down. Really trying to feel that sense of connection to the blanket as well as support and release. And my arms are getting tired, so I want to invite you to release the arms down. We got the benefit of stretching the chest. Let the arms be comfortable. And we'll repeat this lifting and lowering, and it does not matter at all how high you lift. The most important thing is the seeking of sensation, the trying to feel the individuality of each vertebra. We hear that cue ceaselessly, right? Like roll up one vertebra at a time. But it's pretty rare to actually feel every single vertebra. And if you notice that there's a place that's hard to articulate, sometimes it feels like almost a few vertebrae work together and can't be separated. Pause there and take a couple of breaths and just make smaller rocking movements, lifting and lowering just a little bit. As you do this, maintain awareness of the feet. Try anchoring the big toe and let the knees drift nice and wide towards the pinkies. That's going to create, or the pinkies of your feet, your baby toe. That's going to create a space in the center of the knee joint, and it's going to help gently brighten the glutes. And as it becomes a little more familiar, start to feel the sense of massage that's occurring to the left and right sides of the spine. So your rector spinae, gently press into the mat or the bolster. And the next time you place the hips down, pause, take a moment to find that exhale that helps you connect more with the blanket so there's not an increased arch in the spine. And then natural inhale. Next exhale, hover the feet or just unweight them. And then as the feet gently are placed down, try lifting the head and actually rolling up one vertebra at a time. And we're not coming all the way to seated, so you can release the head back down and play this little, or actually go into the hip lift, because that's going to be a really nice counter pose. And then lower the hips, lift the feet, and then think of the body as a teeter-totter. As the feet lower, let the head slowly lift and roll up as high as is comfortable. A little shaking's okay, but you don't want to overdo it. Make sure you're breathing. Once the body sets back down, press into the feet, gently lift the hips. As we repeat this, give yourself permission to walk the feet closer in or further out, whatever feels most supported for the knees. The hips lower, and then the feet lift just a millimeter. Feet down, gently curl up. The curl up should feel like it's coming from a deeper place than where you would normally do a crunch. We'll do one more of these. And if it felt like a lot of exertion, try moving slower and not lifting as high. And place everything back down. Pause for a moment. Let the arms reach wide. Bring the hands palm face down. And imagine the body like a flowing river, and your blanket is the riverbed. Start to sway the spine across the blanket, gently to the right, gently to the left, almost smearing the back body over the blanket. You don't have to go very far, but just start to notice the lateral edges of the body. And the next time the spine smears towards the left, gently roll onto the left side. Push into the right hand to come up to your Bharadvajasana setup, so your legs should naturally be there. Let the left side of the body open, and then imagine lifting the left hip and allow that to expand. Nice, beautiful. Creating more space in the side bend. Nice soft shoulder, soft neck here. Take a couple of breaths into the left side. And then let the left side close, pulling you to neutral. Bring the left hand to the heart and make some circles over the heart in any direction that feels comfortable. And you can close the eyes to feel this better. As I was preparing this class, this was so sweet and soothing. So let yourself be nurtured by your own touch. And then with your next exhale, I'm going to turn to the side just so you can see what my body's doing. Gently press the back of the hand forward as you let the back body open. And then inhale back to center and take a couple of these. And as you round forward, try to feel the front edge of the body sucking in and up to expand the back body, kind of like a parachute catching wind or a flying squirrel. Letting that back body spread out. And the next time you round forward, pause there. It shouldn't be too dramatic of a round. Check in with the back of the neck and make sure the head feels really supported. And then play with squeezing the heels in towards the sits bones and see if you can use that to round a little bit more. Nice, beautiful. And then inhale back up, hand to heart, and we're going to repeat that a couple of times. So the exhale for the initial round, back a hand forward, hollow body. Take a breath into the back of the heart. And then as you exhale, squeeze the heels in and notice how that creates more space in the back line of the body to round forward. Be very gentle as you come back to center, and then repeat this on your own. So the first exhale hollows the body, and then the second exhale, squeeze the heels in and find all that extra space through the back line that allows you to curl forward. One more. And then come back to center. Place the right hand off to the side and take some bounces onto the right palm. Make sure more weight is on the pinky side and the hand is really soft. So no starfish, almost just like a karate chop hand. And then the base of the thumb connects just a little bit. And it should feel light and springy, supportive in the neck, supportive in the shoulders. Notice the connection of the arm into the deep core. So it's not just about the shoulder, but you can really feel the limb connecting to your center. Nice. And then let yourself get lighter and lighter until you can lift both hands, lift the knees, and roll away from me to the other side. We're going to do the exact same thing. So take a moment to notice if you feel uncomfortable by not being able to see me, or maybe it feels spacious, and try not to judge that. Take a couple of breaths and then bring the left hand to the right knee. Sweep the right arm up, coming into the side bend. If this is really uncomfortable for you, you can turn and face me. Otherwise, trust yourself that you can do it without seeing it. Let the right hip lift. It stays connected to the earth, but it's just energetically lifting, and you feel the whole right side body open. Breathe into that space. Try to keep the shoulders soft. Breathe into the back body just like we did on our prop. And then slowly let the right side of the body close. Bring the right hand to the heart and gently circle the heart, and try moving even slower this time. Feel the warmth of the hand. Notice if it feels soothing. And then pause. Use your next exhale to hollow out the back body and press the back of the hand forward. And then we'll do that a couple of times. So inhaling back up and exhaling for the gentle hollow body. We're not moving very far here, but it should feel really supportive, really easeful through the spine. And then the next time you come into that hollow body action, we'll let more superficial muscles turn on, which is going to take us deeper into the pose. So squeeze the heels up. That activates the back line of the body. And notice how you have space to round forward a little bit more. And then inhale back to center. Start to explore this yourself, that first moment where you're not going as far and you're really deeply connected. And then you stay connected and you add on the more superficial muscles that take you deeper. A lot of times we only move from the superficial muscles without the core support first. And so right now this is training us to connect to the deeper layers of muscles and then allow the superficial to take us further in a safe way. And the next time you come back up to neutral, place the right hand over to the right side and start to make your little springs. And remember, it's more on the pinky side, and you'll know you're doing it right if the elbow bends in towards the body and you feel more awareness through the pinky side of the arm all the way up into the tricep and the back of the shoulder. We don't really want to feel it in the chest or the neck. And then let yourself get lighter and lighter. Maybe there's some hang time. And eventually let both hands lift. Lift the knees, rolling through center. And just for good measure, let's do a couple of those. So let the knees roll towards me. Hello again. Bounce the left arm, lift the hands, roll to the right. Bounce the right hand, roll. Try to have awareness of your center even as you move through a bigger space, right? It's easy to be drawn out by big movements. See if you can stay centered. One more to each side. And we'll meet at center. Place the soles of the feet to the mat. Lift the arms for a moment and start to circle the weight around the sits bones. This doesn't have to be a dramatic circle. If the arms get tired, you can make little fairy wings by bringing your fingertips to your shoulders. Let all of your awareness drop down into the sits bones and feel the gentle shifting. Notice how the spine follows. Go the opposite direction. And then place the hands behind you and shift the weight from hand to hand. Let the fingers turn in any direction that feels the most comfortable for you. For me, my fingers are turned out slightly. And similarly to the arm bounce, you want to feel a lot of support up the pinky side, into the tricep, into the back of the shoulder. And once you've found a place where the hands, the wrists, the shoulders feel supported, pause there. Notice your next inhale. And then use your exhale to press into the feet and reach the knees forward, lifting the hips. And then inhale back down and lift the arms away for a little break. And then exhale to lower the hands and lift the hips. And then inhale to reverse that, hips down, hands up. And start to move on your own, waking up the feet, waking up the hips, taking a little more weight into the shoulders. Make sure you're breathing. It doesn't matter how high the hips lift. Let the movement be as fluid as possible. And then the next time you're lifted, do a little crab walk backwards over your bolster and place the hips down on your cushion. Let the feet walk out a little bit wider and just notice if you feel comfortable here. And if you don't, slide that head pillow forward so that you have more lift underneath the sits bones for a supported malasana. Again, I'll turn so you can see more of my body. So the toes can be forward or pointed out slightly. Anchor the big toes and then push down into the heels. And as you push down into the heels, bring the hands to the knees for now. As you push down into the heels, notice how the back line activates. You might feel the muscles around the back of the hips turn on. Imagine you were going to stand up. Try to push down into the heels. You don't actually have to stand up, but it's energetically like that action. See how light you can make the hips. If you want to sync it with the breath, you can exhale to push down and then inhale to set the hips down. Just warming up the legs. You can try placing the feet at different angles. Make sure the knees feel spacious. The more you press down into the heel, the more that will unload the front of the knee, and then track the knees nice and wide. And the next time you place the hips down, turn the feet forward so that they're parallel. Place the hands in front of you and gently push into the heels just like you did before, but this time let the hips fly upward. Keep a deep bend in the knees. Low back is nice and soft, and gently press into one foot at a time, swaying from foot to foot. Bend the knees as deeply as you need to unload the spine. And try to visualize the shape of the spine here. Notice if it feels smooth and even, if there's like a big bump somewhere. Everybody looks beautiful on my end, but try to feel that sense of the spine spilling out of the pelvis. and the head naturally following. Bend the knees deeply. Keep the big toes anchored, but send the weight back into the heels and notice how the back line engages. Walk the hands up to the thighs, push into the hands, and explore that same hollow body that we did with the hand on the heart, letting the front edge of the body suck in towards the back edge. Feel the back of the neck lengthen, breathe into that space. And then start to press the hips forward and notice how that naturally stacks the spine, one vertebra at a time. Can even imagine that bolster is behind you just like you did on your back so many times. Try to feel that contact between each vertebra and your invisible bolster. And once you get to the top, relax the arms. Satyam, can you zoom out? And gently start to lift the heels coming onto the tiptoes. And then place the heels down and hover the hands. And then let the hands sweep back simultaneously to the heel raise. Take a couple of these and try to feel the heels gently lift and notice how that stimulates the whole back line of the body. Right, we've been doing a lot to squeeze the heels in. The next time you come onto tiptoes, pause there. Find a steady gaze point. See if you can relax. If this isn't comfortable, you can lower the heels at any time. And then set the heels down. Soften the knees, shift the weight back into the heels, sweep the arms up, and then melt the whole body over the legs. Deep bend in the knees, awareness in the back body. Doesn't matter how far you go, your hands can rest on the legs for extra support. And then we'll repeat that. So anchor the big toes, shift the weight back into the heels. Option to place hands on thighs, or on the second round, hands free. Press the hips forward to very slowly stack one vertebra at a time. Imagine the bolster behind you. Imagine you can actually feel the feedback between each vertebra. As you get to the top, head and neck come up last, and then let the arms sweep overhead. Let the whole front of the body expand lightly. And then as the hands float down, gently lift the heels just like we practiced before. Lower the heels, reach up, bend the knees, and melt down. We'll repeat that sequence a few more times. You can move at your own pace or stay with me. Anchor big toes, rock the weight back, slow, roll up. There should never be any pain here, so if you have discomfort, you can always use the hands or come up with a flat spine. When you get to the top, hands float up effortlessly, front body opens, and then the arms swing down and the heels lift. Heels down, arms up, neutral or a little extension. And then release forward, spilling forward. As you get the hang of it, try to make the movements more and more fluid. Now we roll up. Try to feel how the front edge of the body suctions up towards the back edge. And you can start to feel more awareness all the way around the spine, the deeper muscles closest to the joint. If you want to make the toe raise more challenging, you can play with bending the knees at the same time. Just make sure the weight is back in the hips so there's no pressure in the patella tendon and the front of the knee. Here's a demo of that. It's sort of Pee Wee Herman looking. And the next time you roll up and float into that back bend, we're complete, so you can release the hands down and pause and close the eyes for a moment if that feels comfortable, and just take in all the movement that you've done so far. Now is a great time to grab a sip of water if you would like to. And you may or may not want this third blanket, so keep it close, but place it off to the side. And then definitely take the other two blankets and place them a little past halfway, so a little closer to the right side of your mat. Actually, sorry, let's do it halfway. That's going to be better, actually. It's good. See, you get to practice that fluid forward folding outside the control of your mind as you move your blankets. Okay. So once you're set, stand to the left side of the blankets and then turn to your right so you're facing them. Paw out the mat with the feet so you're shifting from foot to foot. And then shift the weight into the right foot and notice how strong the right side of the body feels, as if you were in Tadasana, but then the left leg is just hovering. Step the left foot onto your blanket and play with bending the left knee. It might feel a little short at first. You'll have the option to step back later, but just notice how this setup feels for now. Straighten the left. Okay. Straighten the left leg and come back into that Tadasana feeling in the right side. So you feel really supported by the right leg and the back body. And then gently, without losing that sensation, play with bending the left knee and just gently spiraling to the left. The left hand can sweep back like you have the lightest bowling ball in the world. And then push into the left leg, coming back to center. And we'll add the breath. The next exhale bends the left knee, gentle rotation here, and then just start to bounce on your own. You should feel equal weight in both legs, so it's not about shifting all your weight forward. You really want to feel the support of the back leg and the back line. And the next time you shift forward, pause there, push into the right foot or the left foot, sweep the arms open for Virabhadrasana 1. Feel equal weight in both feet and push a little extra into the back foot and notice if that can help you extend really evenly from the back ankle all the way up the spine. And then gently start to melt the spine over the front leg. Hands can slide down the leg. Doesn't matter how far you go. Just make sure that the spine feels really supported. If it's comfortable, you can sway the hips from side to side. And then lift the back heel, bend the back knee, and lower the back knee to the mat. The front foot's still on the blanket. Push into the front foot and slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. As you sweep the arms up, play with lifting the left heel and draw that energy up the back line of the body so it goes into the left calf, left hamstring, all the way up the spine and helps you extend into the back bend. And then release the heel down, coming to neutral, and bring the left leg under you so you're kneeling. Release the hands down and then walk them in front of the blanket so you're at tabletop and the blankets are underneath the navel. Paw out the hands. Find a comfortable place for the hands underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes under, and with your next exhale, lift the knees. And then inhale to set them down. Try this a couple of times and try to prevent the back from arching as the knees lift, just like we did when the spine was on the bolster at the beginning of class. The next time the knees are down, press the hips back to the heels, let the spine round, try to feel that hollow body effect. And then with your next inhale, push into the balls of the feet. Slowly start to round forward towards cat pose. Feel front edge of body sucking up towards the back edge. And then gently lower the hips down, and the blanket should catch the upper thighs way before you're as deep as you normally would go into an up dog. So if that didn't happen, scooch forward so the edge of the blankets are closer to the knees. And then we'll just play with letting the front of the body open, nice soft shoulders. Sway the hips from side to side as a check to make sure you're not compressing the low back at all. There shouldn't be any pressure in the low back. And then flatten the tops of the feet, release the forehead to the blankets, taking a moment in Bhaktasana. We'll have the option to do that again, or you can stay in this lovely supported Bhaktasana. If you'd like to repeat our waving vinyasa, float up to table, tuck the toes under, use your next exhale to hover the knees, and then set them down. And then exhale to return to Bhaktasana with toes tucked under. Inhale, push into the big toes to initiate the rounding of the spine. Let the hips press forward. Feel the body hollow out. And then as you come forward, let the thigh bones lower towards the blankets. Pull back on the yoga mat to let the front of the body open. If this feels intense, try adding another blanket and try scooting the blankets further back towards the knees so they catch you sooner. Press back to Bhaktasana with the forehead on the mat and hover the wrists, just giving the hands a little break. So it's just fingertips on the earth, but no wrists. And then walk the hands onto the blanket, lift the hips, tuck the toes, lift the knees, and press into the blanket to shift the weight back into the heels in a forward fold with this nice prop underneath the hands. So bend the knees deeply, let more support come from the back of the body so the heels are pressing down. And then we'll go back into that familiar sequence. Let the hands drag towards the feet, press into the feet to slowly roll up. When you get to the top, hands float up. And then hands lower and the heels lift. Option to bend the knees and lean back a little bit. And then lower the heels down. Shift the weight into the left foot and step the right foot onto the mat. Is that, yeah, great. Okay, so equal weight in both feet. Start to bend into the right knee, gently spiraling to the right, and then straighten the right leg and notice how more weight shifts back into the left leg. Unweight the right leg just a little bit so you feel this Tadasana action of the left side of the body, and then bend the right knee and gently shift the weight. And take a couple of bounces on your own and really try to move as lightly as possible here so you feel that deeper layer of support. And it really matters not at all how much you rotate or how much the knee bends. The next time you spiral into it, push into the right foot, relax the arms down, and use your next inhale to sweep the arms forward and up. Push down into the left foot and try to feel that nice smoothness all the way up the front of the left leg into the front of the body. Heart lifts, soft shoulders. Take a breath here. You can wiggle the right foot forward or to the right a little bit if that feels good. And then start to release forward, letting the spine melt over the leg. Hand slides down the leg. Be as soft as possible and keep awareness in the left leg so not all the weight shifts forward into the front leg. Keep hands on the leg or lower them to the blanket and gently sway the hips from side to side. Try to keep equal weight in both feet as you sway. And notice how that changes, where you feel it. And then lift the back heel. Gently lower the back knee down. And then push into the front foot, slowly rolling up one vertebra at a time. Once the spine stacks, gently lift the arms and lift the heel. You can come up to neutral or extend the spine a little extra. Take a breath. And then release the arms down. Let the hips stack over the knee. Bring the right knee underneath the body so you're kneeling. Second round of our waving vinyasa. You can do it the exact same way from tabletop, or you'll have the option to do it from down dog. So walk the hands in front of the mat. Come into a plank pose and make sure the knees are just behind the blanket, so the blanket is under most of your thigh. Press back to Bhaktasana, forehead on the blanket. Tuck the toes under if they're not already. The first one we'll do in the original way, just as a reminder. So push into the big toe and notice how that starts to unweight the hips. Let the hips glide forward, the spine melts softly. And then once the shoulders make it to the wrists in your cat pose, gently start to release the hips down. Let the blankets catch the thighs and let the spine unfurl effortlessly. Little bend in the elbows, heart peeks forward. And then lower the knees, flatten the feet, press back to Bhaktasana. You can always rest here. You can repeat it again in that same way. And if you'd like to try with downward dog, follow my cues. Float up to table. Tuck the toes under, walk the hands forward, one handprint. Use your exhale to hover the knees, and then inhale, press into the hands, reaching the hips up and back. Bend the knees really deeply like a little leapfrog and bring the belly towards the thighs. Use your next exhale to lengthen the back of the legs any amount and gently sway the hips from side to side. Notice how this changes where you feel the sensation in the back body and in the hamstrings. And then center the weight and start to lift the heels. Let this initiate the rolling forward hollow body. So front edge of the body sucks up towards the back edge into a puffy plank. And then we'll all lower the knees. Blankets catch the thighs and drag the hands back to let the spine unfurl. It's up to you. You can go back to Bhaktasana. You can press right back into down dog. And I'll give you guys a moment to explore that trajectory or take your rest. So enjoy. We've done a lot to wake up the deep core and wake up the back line and wake up the shoulders. So see how fluidly you can make this transition. Oh, beautiful. Nice. And we'll just take a few more breaths. So eventually make your way into Bhaktasana. Press down into the knees to slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. And if you're following along with the music, go ahead 2 tracks to Inner Sanctum. Okay, let's see here. Grab your blankets and turn them to the long position. So it should be the opposite of how they began at the other side of the mat, but that same vertical orientation. Grab your third blanket as well and stack it on top. Here's the time when having a strap could be useful. If you have a strap, make a loop And the loop is going to go around just the top blanket, and it's going to help secure the ankles. If you don't have a blanket, a sandbag works, and an additional blanket works. It's basically anything that will help prevent the ankles from splaying. No ankle splaying, just kidding. And if you do have a strap and you've figured out this funny puzzle, tighten it enough that you feel it pressing down on the ankles. And then make sure the blanket is supporting the back of the knees. And I've really been enjoying, this is going to be for a restorative pose, but I have been really loving doing forward folds with my legs up instead of my hips up. So take a moment to notice if this feels easier than your normal forward fold. Let's gently shift the weight from sit bone to sit bone, letting the body sway. And then you're welcome to keep swaying. You're welcome to just hold. This is already a deep forward fold if you look at the relationship to my torso to my thighs. If you want to play with deepening the forward fold, keep swaying. Let the hands paw out to either side of your props. And you're welcome to go as far forward as is comfortable without feeling it isolated to one part of the body. So if you're really feeling it in your back or you're really feeling it in your hamstrings, I invite you to press down into the heels and roll up a little, connecting the back line of the body, and then keep swaying, right? See if you can like sneak into this forward fold without isolating the movement. And then let's all play with kicking into the heels. Notice that gentle hollowing out that's possible. Imagine the bolsters behind you and roll up one vertebra at a time, really trying to feel each vertebra touch the imaginary bolster. And then keep going. Let the hands slide behind you until the elbows can lower. And just allow the front of the body to open. Change the direction of the forearms. So try pointing them out a little bit more and see if that's more comfortable for the shoulders. You can hold still or you can keep swaying, shifting from one forearm to the other to massage the scapula along the back of the rib cage. And then very gently start to slide the arms out so that you can bring one vertebra down at a time. Lengthen through the back of the neck. Place the hands either on the belly with the elbows out, or place the hands out to the sides. But either way, just make sure there's a nice soft bend in the arms and there's no tension in the shoulders. Hopefully your phone is within reach so that you can pause the music. And I maybe should have invited you to do this before you strapped yourself to your props. If you would like a warm layer or an eye pillow or anything that would help make this moment more nourishing, please take the time to do that for yourself. We'll have a few minutes in this pose and then we'll have a full Savasana. And before I let you go on your own adventure, take a moment to breathe into the back of the body. Notice if it feels more real to touch each vertebra with your awareness, like that pathway has become clearer. And unlike our starting pose, the spine is neutral here. And so there is a gentle concavity to the low back, but try to kick down into the heels so that the sacrum lifts. And when the sacrum lifts, it naturally points towards the heels, so it lengthens the low back. Set the sacrum down like that. And without flattening the low back, just invite there to be more length through the lumbar curve. You can play with that a couple of times, and I find when I lengthen my lumbar curve, I have more space to lengthen my cervical vertebra as well. So I invite you to play with that, letting the occiput reach towards the top of the mat so the chin tucks. And then tune into the breath, and just like we began, let the breath fill the back of the body just as much as it fills the front. And then in that way, see if you can let the breath wave over each of the vertebrae. Over time, a lot of people's diaphragm, the primary muscle of breathing, becomes less mobile, and the back part of it is the first part to lose its mobility. So it's really, really valuable to breathe fully and to have this awareness in the back body, letting the whole diaphragm help you breathe instead of just the front of it. Let the legs relax completely, and notice how the strap makes it okay for the hips to gently and naturally externally rotate, letting the adductors ungrip completely the muscles of the inner thigh. And we'll rest here now in silence. You're welcome to stay here for your Shavasana. If you would like to transition to Shavasana, you can gently slide the feet from underneath the strap, bending one knee at a time. And the perk to having 3 blankets is you can have a really cushy Shavasana. So I recommend rotating them to go perpendicular, placing one behind the knee, one behind the head, like a pillow, and then one over the belly, just as a nice grounding bolster. You could place it over the belly perpendicular, or you can place it along the sternum, just like running along the spine, but on the other side. And then you have a strap. If it doesn't gross you out, you can use the strap over the eyes to block out light. So take your time, get cozy, get comfortable. And it's okay to fall asleep. I know many of us are sleep deprived. If you can be conscious during Shavasana, there are increased benefits. So let that be your motivation to observe the breath and be very present in the body. But if you sleep, you gotta sleep, and that's just fine. And so we'll have 10 minutes to rest in Shavasana, and then we'll come up for meditation. First, just let yourself be. Notice if that's easy and you're comfortable. Notice if you feel that tendency towards wanting to move right away and get up right away and do the next thing right away, and just be with your experience without judging it. Start to connect with the breath and feel that back space that you've spent so much time building consciousness of. And you're welcome to come out of this however you so choose. It could be nice. Having the legs up was a slight forward fold, so it might feel really nice to walk the feet in and take a really gentle bridge pose to open the front of the body. Could even smear the spine right and left over the mat, just like we did earlier in class, or anything else that is inviting to the body. And then have your own process, ceremony, making your way to seated, but try to enjoy the pathway. Try to enjoy having this body and each way that it supports you. And with your myriad of blankets, find a comfortable way to sit for the final portion of class, meditation. Take your time and be open to the fact that today's meditation seat might be really different than the way you always do it. And there's no need to rush, but when you have found a comfortable seat, I invite you to notice any sense of ease or lightness in your seat. We did a lot to wake up the deep core and the back line, both of which help with posture. So just notice if the spine feels supported. Make sure you can relax and be here as effortlessly as possible. Trust that your body is very good at supporting you and you don't have to micromanage it. And then you can close the eyes or find a single gaze point. Notice the breath. And allow the breath to pool low in the body. And as the breath comes to the base of the body, you might feel the belly expand, and see if you can bring awareness to the back half of that equation. And I find when I breathe more into my back body, my core naturally turns on and restricts the breath slightly, which is strengthening for the diaphragm. And you can play around with it for a moment, breathing just into the belly, and then breathing more evenly into the back body, and notice what enlivens for you. And when we're breathing with our diaphragm, which is part of our deep core, the more superficial muscles can relax. So let the neck and shoulders be really soft. And then let the breath too be soft. It comes and it goes, and you don't have to make it so. Just observe. And can attach the lineage mantra Om Namah Shivaya to the breath flow. I find with this kind of work, this yoga practice, that really keeps us so present and awake in the body, that when it's time for meditation, there's like a yearning for this deeper layer of being. And so now you can let the body go and dive into the vibratory quality of the mantra. Even though it's silent, there's still a vibration inside as you repeat it. Just like we visualized the breath flowing along the spine, now you can visualize the mantra flowing into the body, filling the physical space, but also the subtle space, the space between the spaces. And it's kind of hard to visualize a million Om Namah Shivayas filling you, so perhaps you can visualize a glowing water-like substance coming in with the mantra and washing over all of the cells. Though our physical body has a certain size and shape, our energetic being is completely undefinable. I've even heard Babaji say that the experience of the subtle body can be as vast as the whole universe. And so as you breathe and repeat the mantra and visualize this filling you, let it expand beyond what you have defined as your body. Let this filling be enormous and so spacious. Just more and more space, more and more mantra, more and more of this flowing, nourishing visualization of the mantra. Take a moment to feel the space of your meditation and gently take in the space around you and let those worlds merge and fuse so they don't feel separate. You can feel just as connected inside as you become present to physical reality around you. Thank you so much for sharing this practice. Namaste. Enjoy the rest of your day or night. So great to practice with you. May you flow through the rest of your week. See you soon. So great to see you, Jessie, and nice to meet you, Denise. I can't wait to have class together. So fun, Anju and Jessie, that you get to practice together. What a cool family. Hi, Mom. Good to see you after so many weeks.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Hope it went well for you.
Yeah, it's nice and quiet.
Good. You must not have been playing the music. No, just kidding.
I'm just getting used to this new offside camera we have, so camera's over here and over here.
Oh, fancy.
Okay, bye honey.
Bye, Mom. Love you.